What's going on, everybody? My name's LeakyTapsMan, and this is another This Week in Gaming, number 33. Okay, so this little thing happened, you might have heard of it, called E3, which is pretty much gaming's biggest event of the year. Obviously, as I do a summary of the week's news, I can't really do it this week where I include absolutely everything that's gone on because far too much has gone on. If you haven't seen it already, I've done a video on my opinion of E3 and basically what I thought of the entire show. I won't bore you with the ins and outs, but the salient facts are these, and that is that the show overall was a disappointment. There weren't many massive surprises, some of the games themselves stood out, but all in all, it was underwhelming. But basically, this week's T.W.I.G, I'm going to focus on stuff that happened at E3, but you might not be aware of it, because it kind of went under the radar, since a lot of the focus was on stuff like The Last of Us and the Wii U. So one actual quite big announcement was a sequel to Dead Island. It is called Dead Island Riptide. There was no solid information on the title. Given the actual name of the game, we can assume that it's going to take place on a tropical island once again. Maybe they'll expand the size of it. All I can say is that I enjoyed Dead Island, and this time around I really hope that the developers take their time with the game and make sure it's everything that it can be, and not incredibly rough around the edges like the original was at launch. And it kind of seemed like a strange announcement, not to announce it at E3, but the fact that it's kind of been swept under the carpet. It could have been quite a big announcement to say, announce at Microsoft's or Sony's press conference. I thought it would have been something cool to include. Okay, also this week, zombie related again. A Left 4 Dead prequel has been rumoured this week. It is supposed to be in development by Overkill. These are the guys that made Payday the Heist. I actually mentioned this in one of my previous T.W.I.Gs that they were working on some kind of collaboration. Apparently this is going to be it. And apparently this game is going to tell the story of how the zombie outbreak came to be, and obviously the fall of humanity and all those things that surround that. So that sounds like quite a good premise, but it also contradicts some stuff that Valve were saying, where they basically said that the story doesn't matter in Left 4 Dead because it's totally irrelevant. So take the rumour with a grain of salt. Alright, there's something that actually happened last week, but me being a complete spiv, I edited it out of the video somehow. I don't even know how to this day. But basically, Alan Wake 2 was alluded to be in development by their creative director through Twitter. He essentially gave out a bunch of cryptic tweets. I won't repeat them because out of context they mean very little. But they would suggest a second Alan Wake game, and given the success of the first, both on the Xbox and the PC, we can assume that it is going to happen. And personally, I think this will be a great game to launch on the next Xbox. Alright, another game hinted at getting a sequel is Rage by Bethesda and ID Software. Basically, Bethesda's marketing boss, I'm going to name drop you, Pete Hines, you're in trouble, mate. He has said that making Rage a big franchise is certainly our intent. That is his exact quote. So Rage franchise would definitely suggest more Rage. Quite interestingly, this was a game that a couple of E3s ago was winning absolutely every award. It was like the game of the show, graphics king, this, that and the other, and then the game turned out to be a flop, so it's quite interesting to see just how far these games can fall from being at E3 they are hyped to the moon, and then they come crashing back down to earth. But anyway, you can expect a Rage 2 announcement within the year, I'd say. Probably at next year's E3. Look at me, I'm already saying what's going to be at next year's E3, I have no friggin' idea, but with the new consoles around the corner, I'm going to bet that there will not be many announcements between now and next year's E3. This one kind of went under the radar at E3 as well. It was a new Wario Ware game for the Wii U. It's called Game & Wario, like Game & Watch. It's going to be a launch title for the console, and why they didn't show it at their conference, I've no idea, because their conference was quite devoid of first-party games, so it seems like an odd omission. But WarioWare is a really fun title, and they can obviously do some cool stuff with the controller. They always find ingenious ways to use the technology, so that could be a bit of a sleeper hit, I think. And also, in case you didn't spot it, at the Nintendo conference, a new Paper Mario got announced for the 3DS. It's called Paper Mario Sticker Star. A lot of the gameplay is based around collecting stickers for new attacks and stuff like that. It looks really cool, it makes good use of the 3D technology, and Paper Mario is the absolute dog's gonads, so very much looking forward to that game, I've got to say. And finally, if you've got a spare $13.4 billion lying around, I know some of you have, then Activision Blizzard is up for sale, supposedly, by their parent company Vivendi. It's looking like, in all likelihood, they've realised that Call of Duty's hit a bit of their boom period and the only way is down at this point, seeing as they've hit that peak. But it's still incredibly interesting news for the main reasons that if Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo could muster up the money to buy this company, they could absolutely dominate the console race. Microsoft in particular are in an advantageous position because they just have money to throw. And if they could make the likes of Call of Duty exclusive to the Xbox, then you could pretty much make next gen a write-off, in my opinion. So while it's all a bit smoke and mirrors at the moment, it's still a massive rumour in my opinion, with much bigger implications than you might think. So obviously that isn't everything that's gone on this week in the world of games. If I did everything, I would probably talk you to death. So I'm just going to end it at this point. That's just pretty much everything that went under the radar this week. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that news. And I'll give you a brief channel update as well, seeing as this video is probably going to be quite short. Alright, I realise that I have not done a wish list in like 3-4 weeks. I'm not going to make a buttload of excuses, I'm just going to say that I've been really busy, but I finished my exams now, so I've got a lot more free time. The Euros are still on, so I might not have as much free time as I'd like, but I still have enough to make some wish lists, and I've got some stuff in the pipeline, so you'll definitely see one this Friday. I'm also going to start doing a few more videos where I include my subs, which I kind of mentioned a couple of weeks ago, but anyone that wants to get involved in my channel, you literally just have to give me a message, and I'll be sure to include you somehow. I'm thinking of doing a Q&A video as well, where you can just ask me questions about anything, about myself, about video games, what I think, what I feel. And my giveaway will be within 2 weeks. Don't like to give myself a timeline because I never stick to them, but 2 weeks should be enough. So that's more or less the status of my channel at the moment. I thank you all for watching. You've been great. If you could like and subscribe, that would be wicked. And thanks. See ya.